welcome to Creative Marketing webinar hosted by me, Magic, for Pic-Time. This is the company who's behind the beautiful galleries that we all deliver our images with. And yeah, we have a bunch of photographers here in the chat, hopefully, who are using the Pic-Time. We have a bunch of guests today, 6 guests who are also huge Pic-Time users. I myself am a wedding photographer, a Pic-Time ambassador since 2017. So I've been working with Pic-Time for a long time. And in this webinar, we kind of want to talk about different marketing strategies. Because as a wedding photographers, we obviously care a lot about our creative side and our artist side. So we are very creative about our photography, but not always we're creative about marketing. And now we actually want to inspire a lot of you to be creative about the marketing and business too. Because mission of Pic-Time is not only have these beautiful galleries that people can, see and we photographers can deliver our images with, sell prints and so on, but also huge mission of Pic-Time is just educating photographers, wedding, portrait, family photographers, and helping them succeed, because that just elevates the entire business. And that just, it's a big part of why Pic-Time actually became such a huge thing. So marketing is actually a really big topic, and we could probably talk all day about marketing. There's like, you probably all have seen and done tons of marketing workshops or some marketing workshops. And here we want to have 6 different, like we invited 6 completely different guests with completely different approaches to marketing. Why? To show you different paths, because there's no one way to succeed in terms of marketing. There's no one way to generate leads, to book more weddings, to book more sessions, shoots, and so on. So we want to inspire you by showing you different paths, and then you can pick and choose whatever works for you and maybe follow that path and get even more educated. Because obviously we're not going to cover, like each path. We could talk probably an hour for each of these. Now we're going to give like 10-15 minutes per guest, so we can wrap up within 90 minutes. So for you, you'll have the freedom to choose whatever you want, like whatever you feel like, your own strategy. And like that season of booking next year weddings is actually approaching really fast. I know we are all still deep in our editing caves, but just when we get out of these caves, boom, the bookings come, and they can come or they cannot come depending on how busy were we also doing our business, doing our marketing. So that's why this webinar is right now, because this is the time to actually think about it. Okay, I think we're good. We're good to invite our first guests. Actually, this is a duo, 2 photographers from Scotland, the Caryls. Can I have you guys turning on camera?
Hi.
Hi,
Beautiful.
guys.
Hello, Jim and Katie.
Yes.
Can you give us a little intro about yourself, like a minute long? Okay, 30-second long. Aga will kill me for a minute.
Hey, we're Katie and Jim. We are wedding and elopement photographers based in Scotland. We've been photographing elopements since 2017, and we typically sort of shoot either 2-person elopements or just small weddings up to around kind of 20-ish people. We predominantly shoot in Scotland, but we do travel worldwide for, weddings and love stories everywhere.
And okay, that's perfect. And can I have one question? How do you get clients? Just like first thing that comes to your mind, how the clients find you?
I think it's a massive variety of paths, actually, and I think we've always felt that it's kind of good business practice not to be relying on one stream of leads, as it were. Some people find us from Googling. Quite a lot of our couples started out planning a larger wedding, usually venue wedding at home, And then for kind of various reasons, just it wasn't feeling like it was a good fit for them. And then they start exploring other possibilities, and then they kind of find their way to us. And actually, quite a lot of couples say that it was kind of finding our website that really kind of ignited the idea of eloping in Scotland, which is, that's super lovely to hear. But I mean, Instagram, Pinterest.
Yeah, we used to, I mean, when we were first starting out, it was mainly Instagram. And then, all it takes is a twist of the algorithm and suddenly that dries up. So putting all your eggs in that basket, probably not the best idea. So diversifying.
Yeah.
But you said something really interesting, Katie. You said that like your clients were like planning a wedding, a big wedding, but then they got like inspired by seeing like intimate wedding on your website. Can you talk a little bit more about that? Like, was that on purpose, or now is that your kind of way of doing things, like to inspire people or like lead them into that experience?
Yeah, I think we find that a lot of couples say similar things to us about why they chose to elope over having a larger wedding. A really common thing is one or both of them are quite introverted. So the idea of standing up in front of 100 people and being the center of attention for a whole day really does not appeal, and just, fills them with fear. Quite often they're quite well traveled, quite adventurous, quite outdoorsy. So they love the idea of kind of rolling the adventure of a lifetime into their whole kind of wedding experience. So it's almost like they're kind of planning their honeymoon and then have a wedding ceremony thrown in along the way. And then it's other things to do with, sometimes they've got a complex family situation, if their parents are separated, for example, and it's, and they're not on great terms. So having them together in the room is just going to be stressful for everybody. Or maybe one of them comes from a really small family and the other one's got, 7 siblings, all of whom are married with 10 kids. And it would just feel like a really kind of imbalanced gathering. So they feel that they want to just kind of run away, get married together, zero stress, and maybe plan a big, family party or dinner or something when they get back, is kind of.
But I think
so you kind of find their pain.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you have a solution.
Yeah, because it's really about understanding who your clients are and who your particular, what their pain points are, and understanding kind of like in marketing, they kind of use the term persona to describe different types of, marketing clients. And so we've really kind of dialed into the particular types of clients that we know we can provide a really good experience and service for, and that's what we present to them. So we know it lands, what we offer them, it lands very well with this particular sort of niche of clients that we always attract.
And how much are you involved in the entire, I don't know, planning, pre-planning? Do you educate the client? Like, what's your law? Or you just be like, okay, 3,000 British pounds and we're there.
It's easy that, sometimes, and we certainly, when we started out and we were shooting kind of wedding venues, very much kind of the venue generates the culture and the planning and the framework for you. And as a photographer, you can kind of come along and you inject your energy into that, but nonetheless, the kind of the overall structure is set by the venue. But when the venue is kind of the outdoors, and it could be anywhere in Scotland, I think when we first started out with elopements, we thought, the couples will bring it. They've got some ideas, and we'll kind of roll with it. But that can be somewhat disastrous sometimes.
Yeah.
So,
because I think the other thing is that probably like 2/3 of our couples are not from the UK. We get a lot of Canadians and a lot of Americans, Australians, Europeans. And I'd say probably the majority of them haven't been to Scotland before. So this is, it's a whole blank slate for them. And obviously, just by the nature of elopements, not many elopement couples will have experienced elopement before. Whereas, most people, by the time they get to like 20s, 30s, they'll have been to a few weddings before. So they kind of get the idea. So I think it's very much about kind of really sort of taking them by the hand, talking them through the process, kind of listening to them and what their kind of dreams and visions are for the day. And quite often it might be quite abstract things, or We always encourage couples to kind of imagine where they're going to be when they open the curtains on the morning of the day. You know, is it going to be in the mountains? Is it going to be in the forest? Is it going to be in a historic city like Edinburgh? And then you can kind of dial into them, to their vibe, to how, you know, adventurous or not adventurous they are, and then kind of present them with some options that kind of fit that vision. And then I think it's also because eloping is a real act of trust. You know, sometimes they're not telling their families beforehand. Sometimes they have told their families, and their families might be like a little bit disappointed they're not coming to. So, you know, they're really leaning on you to show them a really good time, give them a really awesome wedding day, obviously capture beautiful photos for them. But also, you know, you really want them to arrive on their day feeling like, you know, we're best friends and we've known each other for years. And I think the time that we spend with couples in the planning process, it's really valuable, to make sure the day isn't a total disaster. You know, it's like, we've done this before, we know what works, we know what doesn't work. You know, let us present you with a rock solid plan. But also it's that kind of toing and froing. Like, lots of brides are often sending me kind of wedding dress options. You know, what do you think, this one versus this one? And, you know, you can become like their big sister and really, you know, be that sort of supportive best friend. And I think that really, when you get to the day itself, they're so much more kind of relaxed in our company. And I think that really translates into the more kind of relaxed, natural photos that we're able to capture for them, particularly when like 9 out of 10 of our couples always say, we're really awkward on camera, we hate having our photo taken, we're so nervous, I pull a million faces, but can you make us look good? And I think, you know, it's having that kind of personal connection that you might have been building up for over a year, that really kind of, you know, comes to fruition on the day.
That's amazing. So like a lot of pre-planning, as you said, and then like creating the entire experience for them based on your knowledge, obviously, about the place. But like, Scotland is beautiful, and it's known for that cinematic elopements. Do you have any tips or ideas like how other photographers who are not from Scotland can approach the same topic of like maybe intimate weddings, maybe elopements, maybe like creating that experience?
Yeah. I mean, we've been doing that in France quite a lot recently. We've ended up doing workshops several times in France, and just because we're kind of leaning into the fact that there doesn't seem to be a really strong elopement market in France, and we you know, that would be an amazing market.
I mean, I think it's not so much a market, but there isn't like an established culture of elopements. I mean, obviously there was Paris and that kind of thing, but I think we sort of feel like, just because we know so many couples do want to elope, and I think it's about kind of looking at your area and like why people are coming to your area. What's your area famous for? You know, is it famous for beaches or history or its music scene or the food or whatever? You know, every area's got something to offer. And, you know, tourists coming to your area, they'll be coming for that thing. And then I think you can really lean into that with your, you know, elopement offering, and kind of curate and craft an elopement experience around, you know, the best that your area has to offer.
You know, so visiting the different places and understanding it, and you know, so you're not doing it, you know, you're not planning something completely remotely. You actually know what these places are like and what it takes to get into these places. And therefore you can craft a kind of an honest experience.
And actually, just to use kind of our own personal example, 2 years ago we moved to an area of Scotland called Perthshire, which is very beautiful, very rural. It's got mountains, cute villages. You know, it's a beautiful place to live, which is why we chose to live there. But no one's heard of it pretty much outside Scotland. So, you know, we're not getting inquiries saying we'd love to elope in Perthshire because, you know, Americans just haven't heard of Perthshire. But, you know, we really kind of worked hard to kind of showcase our local area. We reached out to kind of local landowners and kind of, you know, country estates, and made connections with beautiful kind of places to stay and this kind of thing. And then when you ask like couples that are coming to Scotland to elope, you know, what do you want? You know, they want mountains, they want delicious food, they want quaint pubs, they want Outlander-esque villages. And you're like, well, great, Perthshire's got all that. But they never thought to, you know, put Perthshire on their inquiry form just because they'd never heard of it. And I think that's true with, you know, basically wherever you live. Maybe there's not an established culture of eloping in your area right now, but that's very likely because just no one's ever considered it as a possibility. So if you want to say like, hey, this is what eloping in my area could look like, then you start to kind of sow that seed with people.
That's amazing because, like, one, you're promoting the area, then you're actually making the businesses in that area thrive as well, from
Yeah.
like by bringing people. That's the power of eloping,
Yeah.
power of wedding photography. But my question is, like, do you also like add stuff to your offer that is non-photography stuff? So like, do you, I don't know, combine the B&Bs in your offer, or I don't know, like some unique experiences?
A little bit, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
some of our kind of photographer colleagues in Scotland do offer kind of all-inclusive packages where they've teamed
Mm-hmm.
up with, local Airbnbs and florists and hair and makeup people to kind of,
Yeah.
put forward this
And that works
all-inclusive offering.
if you're kind of like really working on a big destination place like Skye or
Yeah.
somewhere in Scotland, because we work all over Scotland. It's more difficult to create those all in one packages. But we do all sorts for our couples. We kind of quite often, because they're coming from the States and they want flowers or they want other blankets or other things, that they all send them to us and we bring them along, and it might be foods and things like that we bring along.
And also, I mean, we really help them craft their honeymoon trip as well. So, we always ask them like where they're planning to go, and say, actually, avoid this place, go to this place instead. It's going to be much better.
Yeah.
Here's the places to eat when you get to that place. So it's not just recommendations and support for their elopement day itself. They might be coming for a week, 2 weeks, and we'll really sort of
because you want them arriving
well.
happy and thriving to the day, so that they have the best experience on the day. If they've had an awful experience in the lead up to the day, you're going to have to work so much harder to make
True.
and all the recommendations have been great, and they're well fed, and they've not had crazy problems with their car hire and stuff like that, because we recommend where they should hire their cars from and which routes they would take, because they're often nervous about driving on the wrong side of the road and stuff. So yeah, it's all about ensuring that by the time they get to you, you're surfing on a cool experience.
So what would you say about photographers that don't want to shoot elopements because they say elopements are cheaper and they don't make as much money?
It's the opposite for us.
It's actually the opposite. It's so interesting. It's like we rarely get queried on price for elopement couples, whereas if somebody's planning a 100-person castle wedding, people come back saying, oh, we love your work, but you're a bit too expensive. So actually, it's we sort of always feel that if a couples aren't paying for a big wedding venue and they're not paying for a 3-course dinner for 100 guests, like instantly they're kind of quids in when it comes to booking an elopement photographer.
They have more money, right, in their pockets.
More money, but remember, we're not just kind of marketing photos of the day. We're marketing that whole experience. So it's this whole ensemble, and that's that extra value added, and it's almost intangible in many respects. It's just, this is the price of entry to get this experience and to have everything kind of work out, and you get some amazing pictures at the end of it. So
that's amazing. And like, so because you're building such a trust, I guess, with your clients, do you rely a lot in terms of your marketing on testimonials? Do you use that somehow?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of our couples say that the testimonials did play a factor in their decision making. Because
Wow.
again, elopement is such a leap of faith. We feel like when we photograph like larger scale weddings, which we still do maybe 1 or 2 each year, whether the couple have a good wedding day or not, it's kind of not down to, it's like they've got their venue, they've maybe got a planner, you rock up, you're lovely to all their guests and you do your best to take awesome photos. Whereas with elopements, it is this kind of huge leap into the unknown. So I think eloping couples really want to feel like they're in safe hands.
They've seen the experience of other couples who have written, often quite fulsome reviews. So we mainly collect those on Google reviews, but occasionally we can collect them within
Pic-Time,
because you kind of need a Google account, and people, you don't necessarily want that kind of public facing review, so we sometimes collect them through Pic-Time as well, through the review platform within.
That's amazing. Yeah, for those of you watching not knowing the testimonial feature in Pic-Time, there is an option from a photographer's dashboard, you can actually send a request for testimonial, and you can have that integrated with Google. I have a little clip here to show you how it looks. And then you can also have people actually rating you from inside the gallery. So one way is, let me show you. So on your logo, you can have them going and rating photographer, and then the other way around is to have them send them requests actually. So you can integrate that with Google. So you can either have external websites. So here you will have like a Google or just Pic-Time testimonial thing, and then you go to your dashboard and also send a request and have them get email actually about it, which is pretty awesome. So yeah, that makes job a little easier, I guess. That's amazing. Thank you so much, Jim and Katie. It's always great to hear you, and I love that like whole thing that you've built. And it's a one way of doing things, definitely. Like creating that experience. I know that this is not for everyone because not everyone is gonna be have so much drive into that pre-planning and so on. But I also know a lot of photographers who like love planning and love planning shoots, and so like if you're a photographer like this, you can create experience like this, and I hope that inspired you. So thanks again, guys, and maybe you guys can stay with us in the chat or something on YouTube, so people can interact with you. Amazing. So that was our first guest. Let me know, how do you like it? How did you like it in the chat? Is this something that you could do for the next one? I'm gonna have we're gonna talk a little bit about Instagram. So this is something that a lot of us probably like like when we think marketing, this is probably the first thing that we think of, like Instagram. I think we have now Melina, brand name Melourra. Oh,
Hi, nice
good
to
to
meet you,
see
Magic.
you. Good to see you, Melina. So yes, you're Melina, but you go by brand name Melourra. Can you like briefly talk a little bit about you? What do you do? Where are you doing it?
Of course. So my name is Melina. I'm based in Austria and Switzerland. I'm a portrait and wedding and fashion photographer, which is actually quite uncommon. I feel like most people specialize in either wedding or portrait or like fashion. But I feel like what's important for me is that the way I work and the kind of photos I take have like this red line through them. And that way I can work in different sectors and still create the same kind of imagery. So my photos are very much into storytelling, a French daydream, like slice of life, and they really portray emotions, feeling, and youth especially. And this way I'm able to work in different sectors and just, take photos that I'm very much well known for, and that's what people book me for.
That's amazing. And like I did like slightly peek on your Instagram, and it's really impressive, to be honest. Like you seem to be doing really well. And would you say like your clients mostly find you on Instagram?
It's actually super embarrassing to say that, but I haven't had a website until last year. So I'm a
Wow.
photographer for 10 years already, and it's the first year that I'm having a website, and I feel like now I'm very professional. But it has really well worked before that. So I have been doing photography and I've been doing it full time for many years without having a website, just basing it on Instagram. So ever since the beginning, I have been putting a lot of energy and effort into building up this account because I feel like that made me happy. I was like really happy to, spending time on Instagram. For me, it has always been a very positive relationship with it. And I feel like if you put in positive energy, also positive energy somehow comes back. And that way, everybody that booked me found me through my Instagram account. Yeah.
Wow, that's super impressive, because I feel like most of photographers like struggle, like keeping up with the
Yeah.
social media and how to create engaging posts. Like, do you have any tips for us? Like, how do you do it? Maybe because I know there's no one secret way, there's no trick, but there's a hard work. As you said, you worked hard, you put a lot of effort in it. But if you could like maybe break down what is your thing, like what is your approach to Instagram?
That's right. So what I always like to say first is you have to treat Instagram as if it was like your brand, you know? So it's not like you're only posting nice pictures, but the whole big picture should be a kind of branding. For example, you have to have clear expectations on like the kind of how you communicate, what kind of colors you use, what kind of fonts you use in your Instagram story, how you talk to your audience. So it always needs to, you know, be concise and be consistent in the way you communicate, because that way people, when they see your content, they know it's a post by Melourra without even
Mm-hmm.
reading the name. And a lot of people are always telling me like, oh, I knew this was your picture. I didn't even read the name, but it sounded so much like you. And I feel like this is super important because having this strong branding on Instagram is a form of marketing as well. And I, for myself, have, you know, set up different rules on how I use Instagram and how I do not use it, especially. So I want to be concise in what I communicate and what not. For example, for me, I would never show too much of my personal life. I would never show me what I cook, what I eat, the kind of sports I do. I would never show maybe my family or my boyfriend too much. So I'm always trying to keep it very professional in that sense. But at the same time, if you do Instagram marketing, you kind of have to open the door a little bit into you as a person, because there's a lot of great photographers out there. Everyone is doing amazing work, but what people really want to see is how do you as a person do it? How do you as a photographer work? How do
Mm-hmm.
you work? What kind of tips and tricks could people take from you? How can you inspire them? Who are
Yeah,
you as a
at the end of the
person?
day, people book people, right?
Yeah.
Like photos are
So
the product, obviously, but it's the
yeah.
people who are creating the
So I love to
service.
show my face from time to time and show
Mm-hmm.
myself as a photographer, but you know, not the personal, not Melina. I'm always showing Melourra. So that's the kind of Hannah Montana life and balance that I do.
Gotcha.
And
Like you do have that separation between personal
I
stuff
do.
and like private stuff and like public stuff, but also like you said, you are trying to show like what would you say then like from like the person like what kind of personal post then do you post? Just like your backstage, I don't know, reels or
Yeah,
something?
people love backstage, people love behind the scenes versus results, people love, you know, seeing your workspace, seeing how you edit, seeing all the background work behind a perfect picture.
Mm-hmm. And like your posts are really engaging. Is there a secret to it? Is there like a secret to building that very engaged audience?
So in the beginning, I started with putting a lot of effort and energy into the captions. So I always wrote big texts until I realized that no one reads it anymore. So the trend nowadays goes more towards into putting text on the photo, on the post itself, either in the carousel post. A lot of people put text on the carousel post, or to put really visible text on the stories, like right in the middle, so people would stop and read it. So, you know, the less time we get, the more emphasis we need to put into making the posts visible. And I always also try to get a good mix between a perfect picture, a tutorial, an inspirational post. So I always try to like navigate between different kinds of content so people would
Mm-hmm.
get different inspirations from me every day.
Gotcha. So you have like different types of like would you
Yes.
say you have like a schedule? Do you schedule that or do you have that in mind? Okay, I posted 3 times beautiful photo. Now it's time for something else. Like do you have a structure for it?
I actually do have a clock every evening at 8 p.m. and it's ringing
Wow.
and it's telling me Melina, Instagram. And that sounds kind of weird to a lot of people, but I'm actually looking forward, you know, once the clock rings. On some days I'm like, yeah, let's do it. And on other days I'm like, no, I'm in a restaurant, I can't do it. But if I do
Mm-hmm.
have time, I'm like, yay. And I'm kind of considering it as an opportunity to put my work out there, because with everything you put out there, you get a chance to that people contact you because of that exact content piece. And you know, with Instagram, you never know how the algorithm is working and if the content might perform well or not. But the more you put out there, the more chance you have that you get inquiries in. So I
Yeah.
use that a lot and I try to post every single day in the evening. And some content pieces work, sometimes they don't. But the consistency is also something that my followers are looking forward to.
And then people like you learn when you post a lot, you learn what's working, what's not working, so you keep improving. And I love that because I love the consistency part and also like the volume part because I feel like like Instagram is a game. sometimes we just need to play some games, and it's a volume game at the end of the day. And like for you, do you also like use DMs a lot? Do you keep relationship with, I don't know, with vendors? Do you have anything to say around that that part of like more private side on
Um,
Instagram?
I'd say like replying to every single comment by saying
Mm-hmm.
thank you, or replying to every single question. Also, if it might be, what camera do you use? People ask it every day, but I still want to answer them. You know, they put time into texting you, and I want to be respectful and answer them the same question over and over again. So I do a lot of, private textings also with a couple of followers on my DMs, and with vendors. I always try, to have a positive relationship with them. I feel like vendors are also a form of marketing that you can make use of. You know, they're using your photos to portray their services, but at the same time, they tag you as a photographer. And if I were, for example, a bride looking for someone doing my bouquet, my flowers, and then I see this beautiful picture of a flower bouquet, and then, of course, I might also check who took the photo, and then they find me. So I always try to, incorporate vendors into my galleries. On Pic-Time, it's super easy. You just have to, type in all the vendor data, the email, the Instagram handle, and co. And so the vendors get your galleries automatically with the AI, and they can post it. And then it's also some form of marketing that's just for free. So that's smart to use, of course.
Yep, yep. For those of you who never use vendor feature on Pic-Time, it's absolutely perfect because it just makes it so much easier to share your work with vendors. You can create links before, so you can actually give them pre-registration links so they can register to the gallery when you're at the event. You know, how many times we're at the event like shooting and we have florist or makeup artist asking, oh, can we see the photos later? You put that in notes and then you forget. So with vendor feature, that will never happen because they can just simply pre-register on the spot for the gallery. So yeah, that's amazing that you are using it. And how do you find energy to do all of this? 'Cause that's a
You
lot. That's a
know,
lot of work, right?
I feel like a lot of people have a very negative relationship with Instagram because they feel like it's, I don't know, unnecessary work that you put in and you never know what you get out. But you really need to consider this kind of work as working hours. And I know that, for example, me, without Instagram, I would maybe work like 5 hours a day or six, I don't know. But with using Instagram, I might work 8 hours a day, which is like a normal job time, 8 hours a day, because I also consider doing my Instagram scrolling and I don't know, commenting and liking. That's also kind of working time for me because it's like work I put into the account. And I think there are worse jobs than spending time on Instagram and much harder jobs. So I can feel very fortunate to do this in my working
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, that's actually pretty spot on because like you see people using Instagram all the time. I don't know in subway or on the street. But what we do, we're actually working when we're using Instagram. It's not
Yeah.
just
Sometimes I
wasting
feel like I
time.
wish I had a t-shirt that says like I'm working and not
This
just
is
dumb
this is
scrolling.
my
Like,
work.
yeah.
That's cool. With your branding
Yeah,
also.
with a QR code.
And you mentioned already vendor network feature on Pic-Time. Is there anything like specifically that you use with on Pic-Time that helps you with like I don't know create content or maybe share the content like anything that you can give us tip on
Mhm.
how to maximize your efforts?
Yeah, that's a good question. I feel like in the beginning of doing Instagram marketing, I had struggles with having access to all of my photos. You know, they're all sitting on my MacBook, but I'm not always with my MacBook when I need to post at 8 p.m. So that way, I was thinking like, should I use a cloud? Should I use some different services? But then I realized that Pic-Time, has all of those images, obviously, because I sent them to clients. So I might just need some way to access them fast. And only since this year, sorry, I was super late, but only this year I realized that you guys have an app and that I can use this app to access my photos so fast. And it even has this, maybe not all of you guys know about it, but there is an AI search tool. So you just type like flowers, bride, I don't know, mountains, and then all of a sudden, all of your pictures with a mountain in it pop out. And that's so smart because if I feel like posting some bridal photo or some fashion photo, I'm super fast in finding and downloading and posting that photo with the app.
That's amazing. Yeah, that search feature is absolutely like insane. It's just so good. Like it finds things that are so let's say targeted to the weddings because like as far as I know, like regular AIs are kind of taught on like everything, while the AI made by Pic-Time like is being educated only on the photos from
Yeah.
weddings and portrait sessions and so on. So it's only that one target things that it's working on. So it's actually perfect. That's amazing. I have one more question, if I
Of
might.
course.
So what camera do you use?
Oh, you're being mean. Just stalk my Instagram account. I'm gonna block you. No, just kidding. I'm using the Canon R5, but I'm thinking about upgrading to the R5 Mark II. Let's see.
Okay, if anyone in the chat thinks Melourra should upgrade to R5 Mark II,
Yeah,
let us
please
know in the
sponsor
chat.
me.
Canon,
I'm
please
actually working
sponsor.
with Canon, but so far I haven't gotten that camera yet.
Let's get Canon to sponsor you. Thanks so much for joining us. Yeah, thanks and for sharing your knowledge. It's amazing. Like it's actually amazing to see someone put so much effort and actually get the results back. So it's very, let's say, heartwarming and be like, yeah, we can all maybe put a little more effort and we could see the results. So thanks so much and have a great rest of the day.
You're welcome and enjoy the rest of the webinar. Bye.
Okay, next up, we're not stopping. We're not stopping. So we had like, so we had not that client creating client experience. Then we have social media. So next we're gonna have amazing Joy Zamora. Can I have you, Joy, joining me?
Hello, man.
Hello.
How are you?
How's it going?
Good, man. Good. Busy time, I
Very
guess, for everyone.
busy
But
time, of
yeah,
course.
man. I don't
So
even know
you're
where
deep in your editing cave. I can see it's dark in your
yeah, it's
editing
dark. It's
cave.
dark. It's dark. I'm just here. I'm away from my family. I'm away from my loved one and just editing. That's it.
So can you introduce you for like maybe there is a small percentage of people that don't know who you are. Can you just introduce yourself?
Definitely. So I'm Joy Zamora. I'm a destination wedding photographer. I will call myself. I never shoot in my home or close by. I always have to pick a plane to work, which is quite annoying sometimes. I had to be honest. I mix this with education. Almost since I start, I have been playing with both. I enjoy both to the same level. I feel like there is this say that they say to teach piano, you only have to be one lesson ahead of the person that you're teaching, and I apply that to myself. So in the moment I learn something, I just try to apply immediately. That's me. So that I love this job. It's the best job in the world. I feel like it saved me from so many horrible things. So I'm just glad to be here
Amazing.
sharing everything I know.
So destination weddings, and like I've been following you for a while now, and you do shoot these like beautiful weddings. You shoot like very elegant, very would you say luxurious or like more high end weddings?
I would say high end. People with money, probably. I won't call
People
them
with money.
luxurious. Yeah, I think they invest in the
Hmm.
experience. They not necessarily luxurious. I don't align myself with this new trend. Not because I don't like it. I do like the luxury weddings that I see around, but
Hmm.
I don't feel my client is looking for that into my work. I feel like they
Hmm.
are really valuing creativity. The connection between me and them is super important, and they lately every time I have done a video call with them, they talk about the movement in the photos, which is quite you know interesting. Like they feel that the photos are alive. But yeah, I think there is such a big space into the wedding industry now for people who pay a lot of money for photographers that not necessarily has to be tagged as luxury. They may be luxury in
Hmm.
the way that they are gonna spend a lot in the food as well because they value the gastronomy, or they want to go eco-friendly with their wedding, so they have to spend way more money because they don't want to put plastic bottles or plastic spoons, so they have to rise the price of everything. So I will say my clients are more that way than just the luxury people that's going to wear a lot of Prada and Gucci and all that thing.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's fair. And I like this is like already very interesting to hear because like you have very clear vision on who your clients are.
Mm-hmm.
I would say it's very similar to what we just heard from Jim and Katie when like they talked about their clients, but their clients are completely opposite clients from your clients. Like they're adventurous and like very low key and so on. And you are maybe like want to have a bigger wedding usually. And I feel like these weddings a lot of times come with wedding planners. Do you work a lot with wedding planners?
I do. I gladly do. Honestly, it wasn't easy. I had to say it wasn't easy. I always work for this. And now I will say, yeah, 90% of my weddings have a wedding planner, or close to 100%. And it took a long time. So this is actually something I want to share with the audience today, with everyone, with all the friends around here. It took me a long time. It took me a lot of reaching people and getting the silent and the no's, and that's fine, because I was doing the things wrong. I was approaching people who wasn't connected with me. I was approaching people just because of the sake that I want to work with them by not giving them any value. So yeah, now almost all my work is with wedding planners. Sometimes the clients come through the wedding planner. Sometimes they fire me first, and then they hire the wedding planner. But yeah, now it will be like 90 to 95%.
Wow. And then the ultimate hack of all times, you married a wedding planner.
Oh
Is
yeah,
that true?
I am like
So is this a tip that you want to share with all of us?
get married with a wedding planner, and then you solve all the problems. I will say, I am like a double agent in the CIA getting into the foreign country, because I get so much insight about what a wedding planner is looking in a photographer or in a vendor in general, because I am like, oh, so you're angry with this photographer because he reached you out and he didn't even mention your name. And so I take a note. I say, okay, I should put the name of the wedding planner if I reach to them. So being with Opie, who is my wife, it has been the biggest learning process for me as a wedding photographer, because she has these high-end clients as well. And I just know that, firstly, don't put any more work into a wedding planner table. They don't want more work. So if you have to be really intentional when you
Okay, guys,
contact.
no, let's put that in the notes.
Let's write it down. I'm happy to share everything. I'm all for it, because for me, it took a lot of time. And first thing that wedding planners don't have. The other day, actually, I read this article saying that wedding planner is one of the most stressful jobs in the world, considering the fifth in the world, I think, after soldier, pilot, or something like that. So they don't have time for you. You're not important to them, and they are actually important for us, because we are searching for a job. It's like we're going to a job offer, opportunity, interview. So firstly, remember the name. That's a basic one. Study their work. You want to create some kind of connection with any of their work. If you have seen a specific table, specific wedding, a specific ceremony that you really love, talk about that, because we have to be honest, everyone likes to be told about how good we do. And that's something that connects with them. And I would say that, wedding planners are not a piñata that you can hit and candy came in. They have they have maybe, I don't know, 10, 15 weddings per year, and they really have to choose the person that they are booking, because, you can imagine this wedding that you are working for a whole year. You have a budget of $1 million into that wedding. And then the photographer called me in, and it's really stressful. It's a lot of things going on. We know that. And you don't take the photos of the details that she put so much time, so much planning. Her work is not going to be seen. So we have to think from their point of view, like, oh my God, this is such a big risk to hire the photographer or the videographer. So I would say just be careful with that. Maybe prepare even I don't know, like just prepare a little bit mood board to inspire the wedding planner, and just deliver before you ask for something. I have an advice that I have taught to my students sometimes, and it's like, you are trying to build a relationship with a wedding planner. So our relationship starts years before you get that email that is asking for your rates. Usually it's there years before. So, I remember these videographers that were constantly talking to me and to my wife in the comments in a good way. We will post a story, we will post something, and they will make a nice comment. Maybe they will throw a DM here and there saying, oh, we love what you do. That is amazing. No pressure, just beautiful words. And I remember I was talking to my wife one day. We were planning this beautiful shooting. And she was like, should we bring a videographer to do a little bit BTS around something like that? And I was like, yeah. And then we both immediately remember the name of this videographer who was texting us. Their profile of Instagram came to our heads like, oh, we should write to this guy. That he has been so nice. Why not to, work with him? And since then, he has done like 3-5 weddings with my wife and working with me and all that. So we don't have to be greedy. I'm not meaning to do all this just out of interest, like, oh, if I'm clever and I do this, I'm going to get a wedding. But actually
but if you really love something on someone's
Exactly.
work that
Exactly.
much,
Just be authentic. Be authentic, because people feel it. You feel it. If you have a person in front and they come to me and it's, Joy, I want to be your second shooter. And I am like, okay, do you want to ask me anything? How was my day? Anything else? So wedding planners feel that as well. So bigger advice I can give to everyone who is listening is just be human, because wedding planners are human and they just need a little bit of attention and empathy, basically.
And how, like, what do you have anything to give us, like, in terms of like how do you show off your maybe personality as well? Because like I know that like following you, like I kind of know you, and I cannot tell like what's the secret. Is it you showing like your behind the scenes, and like I
Uh,
don't know what you do,
I don't
but
know,
like
Nita.
your face is just so familiar.
I joke a lot. I joke a lot. I think I spend so much time alone editing that when I can have a human connection, I love to help people. I'm gonna give you a recommendation for everyone who is listening. It's a book that is called Give and Take, and it showed me a lot about how giving without thinking anything, that you're not thinking that you're gonna get anything in return, is gonna come back to your life in an amazing way. So what I try to do in social media, I was listening before about not sharing social media who you are, right? And that's completely right for many people, but it's not for me. I want to show myself because when my clients or even the wedding planners came to me, they know how I am. They know the good things, they know the bad things. I think it's important to be a little bit different. For example, if you reach a wedding planner, don't do another email, because again, they receive hundreds. So just send maybe a Loom video. You can send a video, say, hey, enjoy. You don't know me, but I would love to work with you any day. 2020, 2030, 2040, till I get retired, I would love to work with you. And maybe they laugh or maybe they ignore you, but you are a little
But
bit
maybe they'll
different.
connect because there's gonna be something.
Yeah, I feel like even, like this is horrible what I'm gonna say. Maybe not many people will like it. But when I go to a wedding planner, when I go to a wedding and I found a wedding planner that I never worked with, I always made them jokes that almost give them a heart attack, because I don't want them to forget. So for example, if we just sit down for dinner and the wedding planner is there, I will go like, hey, Maria, sorry, the couple needs you. They're really stressed out. Something is going on. And I love to see the panic face on her. And then I say, no, it's a joke. It's a joke. And I just, they're not going to forget that. I know some people will be like, oh, Joy, you have to be perfect. You have to be completely in your place. You don't. You have to make also people relax and feel great with you. And I think just being yourself, not trying to pretend, is important these days.
That's a big one. That's a big one. And how do you feel about like do you kind of network with other vendors as well?
Yeah.
Or do
Yeah.
you like specifically, I don't know, uh, let's say, I don't want to say target, but connect with wedding planners?
I do target everyone. I'm obsessed, man. I love vendors. I love vendors. Like mostly, I would say I do connect a lot with videographers and photographers. So, for example, so many people have told me, "Hey, Joy, why don't you make a studio and you hire other photographers for those weddings that you cannot do because you're already booked?" I don't want to. I mean, I respect who does it, but I prefer to spread those weddings between friends and people that I admire. And also I don't want the stress of planning weddings where I'm not, I'm lazy for that. So that's the key, like when you give weddings to people, just because, I'm booked already, I think this person will connect well with you, that's going to work. There's this thing that I don't know if you're aware of it. It's really weird. It's close to astrology. It's called human design. And apparently, as I considering human design, I am a connector. I am a person that connect people, and that's what I love to
Wow.
do. Because I am not the best person in the world in my job. There's way more talented people that I am, but I love to connect people. And eventually, something happened good to me because I'm in the middle of those beautiful connections. So connect videographers, connect photographers, connect brands. Like I don't care. Like today, I actually sharing 3 weddings with friends, and that's it. And I think even without the intention of getting anything back, I truly feel like that is gonna give you back in your life. And maybe it's not a wedding, maybe it's not even money, but it's good relationship and healthy things. So just do it.
And how do you feel about sharing your work specifically with other vendors? Do you do it? Do you not do it? Is this
I
something
do,
that
I
you
do. I
like
use
do by default?
No, I do it. I do it because, I have this beautiful thing now that is the sharing vendors on Pic-Time. And there is a beautiful thing because, I hired a person for my business. I said, look, I want you to put every single vendor that we have worked this year in the platform of Pic-Time because I don't want to be responding people individually on WhatsApp and making all that mess. I forget about it. I'm traveling. I have no time.
Yeah.
So we put it in there. My assistant put it all there neatly. She contact everyone to have, the phone number, WhatsApp, Instagram, everything. That's what we do now. We just send them to people. It's the easiest thing. I'm actually doing previews. I also send the previews because I feel it's important as well that people get the photos as soon as possible. And it's the best strategy marketing that you can do because, I think timing is really important in this thing. You need to do it as soon as possible in order to get as spread
Hmm.
as you can. And this tool is amazing. I mean, I don't want to use it, so I send it to the florist or specific. Sometimes it's not even a vendor. Sometimes it's a specific guest because I know
Hmm.
that guest is special for any reason. Maybe he's going to get married in the future. And he just told me, oh, can you send me the photos where we are? I put him as a vendor. I said, future couple there. And I send it to him because, it could
Wow,
be a future
that's a
couple.
cool hack.
Yeah, do
That's a
it.
cool
Otherwise, you
hack
will forget. You will forget. So I asked for the
because
Instagram or something, and that's it.
that's a huge thing that you just said because it's such a missed opportunity for many photographers not actually connecting with other people on the wedding day and like
Mm,
feeling that connection. First of all, like who are the VIPs on the wedding? Who are the most
yeah.
important people? Who are the people who actually care? And then you meet others, and then you meet friends, and then these friends book you for weddings, and then you live for eternity, I guess, as the greatest wedding photographer of all time.
That's it.
Joy Zamora, everyone. Thank you very much for joining
Thank you
us.
so much. It was
It's
a
been
pleasure,
amazing.
guys.
You dropped so many gold nuggets that like we're thankful for you. And if you could stay with us in a chat, maybe there's going to be some
I will. I
questions
will.
to
I will
you,
be
and you can
here.
just privately answer. Thank you. That was quick and amazing. I hope you guys enjoyed this part, and we're not stopping. We're still not stopping. I want to invite Lindsay.
So, hi. Thanks for having
Okay,
me.
hi. Very good to see you. You're in Canada,
I
Kitchener,
am in Canada.
Waterloo, Ontario, Canada.
There's
Correct?
so
Is
many
that correct?
locations you have to say when you say where I live. I try to make it complicated, but yes, I live in Kitchener, Waterloo, Ontario, in Canada,
Okay.
the Great White North.
Can you give us a little brief intro, like who you are, what you do?
Yes, absolutely. So, I am a wedding and portrait photographer. Feels like the easiest way to summarize what I do. I take photos of people on their wedding day. I've been doing it since 2012. And then I started sort of as a wedding photographer because I was told that's where the money was. And I was told, like, just do weddings. That's the thing that's going to make you the most profitable
That's the smart
photographer.
thing to do with the camera.
Yeah, like if you're gonna I mean, I had literally never held a camera prior to deciding I was gonna start a business, so it was a little bit half-cocked. I knew I wanted a business, I knew I wanted something creative with a lot of flexibility, and so photography felt like the most natural fit for me. I know it's not usually the way things go. People are usually great photographers first, but I started out in weddings, I loved it, but I felt like there was more that I really wanted to do. I love kids, I love families, so I started shooting more families and babies, maternity sessions. I also have a studio. I do headshots, branding. So I've done sort of what most educators tell you absolutely do not do, which is I have absolutely not niched down. Uh, I have tried to create a signature style of a look, if you will, an aesthetic that feels like me. And that's as niche as I really feel like going. My editing is consistent across the board. Um, the way I approach every session and every client is the same. So I try to offer the same level of care and attention, whether it's, a 45-minute headshot session or a 12-hour wedding day. Obviously, some might require a little bit more attention, but I try to put the same amount of care and energy into them so that the finished product is something that if I was shooting a wedding, that person would say, "Oh, my company needs photos." That's the person we're going to hire, regardless of whether I am the headshot photographer in my area. That kind of
I
leads into it.
absolutely love this. Like your, like, let's say, opposite approach to niching down. for one big reason that like wedding clients are one-time clients for weddings, but they will hire you multiple times for tons of different stuff.
Yeah.
If only you let them know that you're doing this.
Yeah. And it really started fairly organically. It was like the people that I was doing their engagement photos, I would then shoot their wedding. And then a lot of the time, those people have babies. And in an ideal world, they don't want to have to go searching out another photographer. Like they want to work with the person that they've already trusted. Their family already knows you. I have one client that I've worked with since 2013, and she has like the most insane gallery wall in her house. And thankfully, my editing style and just overall work has evolved over the years. But she's like, I'll never be able to hire anybody else because this is all your photos, like the entire wall. And she has
So you go
4
in and you're
kids
like,
now.
oh, this is my old preset. Oh, this is
Oh,
my old
painful.
pose.
This is when I used to use my husband's preset and it looks nothing like my work now. Yeah, but I feel like the overall your eye as a photographer, you can always tell, like if you're really paying attention or if you pay enough attention to your own work and how it's evolved, you can always tell. I think it was Melourra said that like people will know. People will say, "Oh, I knew that was your photo the second that I looked at it." And I hope that that's the case. Even if it was 2014, they could still say, well, that looks like how you would pose us or the energy that you brought to the session.
Also, like what I said during the call with Melourra, people book people. They
Yeah.
know you, they trust you,
Yeah.
they feel connected with you already. It's just a no-brainer to book you. So, do you, like you do all of that? Like, how do you market all of that stuff? Like, do you
Yeah.
mainly shoot locally, right? Is like that's your kind of like a go-to in
For
Kitchener,
before,
Waterloo,
yeah,
Ontario,
before
Canada?
well, I say locally, but like I mean, I have shot in Australia, in Europe, and Mexico, like probably a couple of dozen times. I'm very
So
busy
locally on planet
here.
Earth.
Yes, if you're local to there is a runway somewhere near, or even a place I could drive, I would go there. I used to shoot a lot more destination weddings prior to COVID. And COVID really changed things for me. I started to realize like what I really enjoy and what I don't. I think that happened for a lot of us. Um, and that's actually, it was really during COVID that I decided to um, put a little bit more effort into the family side of my business and into the branding side of my business. And that was out of necessity. That was like, there were no weddings happening where I live for, I would say the wedding scene sort of came back to life in like 2023 for sure. So it took a really long time for weddings to come back in a full scale here. But the marketing side of that, the principles of marketing, if you can figure them out for one thing, you can figure them out for anything. So um, whatever works for you. If you're an Instagram person, lean heavily on Instagram and be so good at Instagram that no one else could be better than you in your area or in the area you're trying to market in. Or if you really like to blog and you're a really good writer, like lean heavily into that. Mine has evolved over the years because obviously I've been doing this for a few years. And the things that I do now, thankfully, they're things I don't necessarily have to do quite as much anymore because I, if you make blogs, it's evergreen content. If you share things online that aren't just on Instagram, well, Instagram's getting better as far as searchability now, right? You can actually search for like Waterloo wedding photographer and you'll truly get like almost SEO level results, which is phenomenal. But it didn't always used to be that way. It used to be that if you posted on Instagram, it was good if they saw it and otherwise like kind of tough luck. So I leaned really heavily into blogging. And that has been huge for me. But currently, Instagram is sort of I post on stories. I would say blogging, my website updates, and then being really, really consistent with um, retaining my relationships with vendors. That's been kind of a huge thing lately as I've evolved into, okay, people know me, but do they know that I'm still here really like emphatically doing this? Because I don't know, Magic, you've been doing this for a number of years. If you've been at it for a long enough time, people start to question, are they still doing it? Are they still really in it? Like if you don't have to be blogging, you don't have to be posting every single wedding that you shoot. people do start to question, how busy are they? How much are they still wanting to do this? And so for me, my energy just goes into like maintaining the relationships with vendors, with venues. I'm a preferred vendor at like 14 different venues, which that was a Herculean effort. I will be honest. Like getting on preferred vendor lists at literally every venue in my area took so much work. And so I don't have to do that now, but now what I have to do is maintain those relationships and try to remind them that of the 10 photographers on their list, that I'm the one that they should be referring to, that really phenomenal client. You know, I don't need to be everybody's person, but like your favorite person that walks in the door, that hopefully is me.
Oh, like I absolutely love that. And I also know, like, is that true? You do a lot of like when you do these seasonal shoots, you heavily rely on emailing.
Huge. Yeah. I feel like it's such a like it's such a wild question to be like, how do you market? Because I do all of it. What are the things that you should do to market? I do all of those things. So speaking of like evergreen content, a huge thing that I love to do is point my blog posts, or point people to my blog posts or things that are static and on my website. I point them there via my newsletter and also by Instagram, but by my newsletter. So I use email marketing very, very regularly, specifically for my family clients, not so much for my weddings.
Exactly,
Um,
because weddings are just one-time clients again, but family or portrait photography
yeah,
does come up
they'll
every
keep
year.
coming back. And the like amazing thing is if you have a period of something's going on with your family or you're sick or whatever, you don't have to reinvent the wheel when it comes to family photography. Those clients are yours unless you lose them. Like unless you do something to lose those clients, they will want to be yours because like I said, they don't want to go and find another photographer if you've done a great job and they loved you and they loved the work that you did. So um as long as you just maintain that relationship at sort of a minimal level. Hey, reminding you I'm here. So I offer seasonal sessions. That's just what I call minis because I think personally, sorry to any of the haters, but if you call your shoots mini sessions, people will think that that means they're cheap. It's just where people's brains go. And my goal is not for my mini sessions to be cheap. I want them to be less expensive than a full session is for sure. But by the end of the investment, once I've run all my automations through Pic-Time, people are spending with me a lot of the time the same for a 20-minute shoot as they would for a full 1 hour session, because they are upgrading the number of images that they're getting. They are buying more prints. The holidays are such a huge moneymaker. I'm like out at the tree farm every weekend. Canada has really cute tree farms, I will say. It's like a really fun place to be. I put
It's
on
really cold. I don't know how you do it,
No,
actually.
it's nice. I actually well, okay, I will say I do it like the weekend right after Halloween before it gets really crazy
Before
because
it
I
gets
have
really cold.
yeah, I don't want to be out there in like minus 20 Celsius, just freezing my butt off. But I I book people literally from the earliest sun that I can allow. So usually it's around 9 o'clock in the morning here until the latest sun that I can get, which is usually about 5 every 20 minutes, back to back to back all day long for multiple weekends. Um, and I just did the math of like, I don't know, what's a full session worth with me? It's an hour. I'll just divide that by 2 and then add some because they are getting a location instead of me just showing up to their home or a park or whatever. Um, and then I limited the number of images that were available, which felt really foreign for me as this photographer that went from being a wedding photographer where I just deliver everything that I think is great. And then a family photographer, but I wasn't really like, I didn't really know what I was doing as a family photographer. I was not doing in person sales or anything like that. I was just offering like a flat rate. You get all of the images again that are good. So doing these seasonal sessions, I do offer them in a different way, which is awesome. That Pic-Time does have different automation set up for all of those things. So I have different email packages depending on how that client found me, and I have different email packages based on the type of shoot that they had. So again, I'm not reinventing the wheel on that at all. Like every winter, people know what to expect. They're like, okay, well, if
Hmm.
I'm doing a tree farm session, then I know that that's only going to give me 10 images, and I'll get some emails reminding me that I should add some in later.
I actually have a video here of your email packages. How
Okay. Oh
convenient.
gosh,
Thanks
let's
to my
go.
producer, Aga.
That's nice.
So for those of you who don't know, you can actually build like different, like entire sequences of emails, like all like welcome emails, gallery invite emails, and product purchase emails. So you do have a different one for different occasions, so they always fit, and you're not writing anything when sending another wedding or portrait shoot or corporate shoot. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not
Amazing.
sending, like, I don't want to have to send out I don't have to customize an email for every single session that I send out. Sometimes that can be just the thing that makes that gallery sit another 2 days because I'm like, oh, I have to rewrite this whole thing, but you don't. Um, I do also love that Pic-Time gives you like pre-made email packages for things around the holidays. That's really huge. I was just looking at my sales for last year, and to be honest, I had to like fact check it to make sure that they were accurate because, well, I don't know. I guess I should pay closer attention to it, but it felt like, oh, that's a lot of money for the amount of effort that I put in, which is very minimal. If you are like me and you're not a really big print salesperson, it's not a huge focus of yours. Pic-Time is, I think, pretty much the only platform that I would trust with that side of things because I have used other gallery systems and it's so like DIY. You have to create, like, you want to do a holiday sale, you're creating all of the imagery, you're creating all the email packages. You're going to have to send out reminders, you're going to have to do all of those things, but there's automations for things like Mother's Day, for Christmas, holidays, literally every special occasion that you can think of. Black
Yeah,
Friday is a huge,
pre-made,
yeah, Black
pre-written
Friday
emails and
is huge for
everything.
me, and they're gorgeous. Like, they are beautiful. It looks like I put so much effort into it. My clients are always like, "Wow, who's your marketing person?" I'm like, "Oh, that's my friends over there." Big time.
That's like
But those are huge for me. Like, and those I do customize the emails just so that they sound like my voice, but I leave the imagery. There's for a holiday package, I think there's 4 different looks at least that you can choose from so it suits your studio and your branding.
my favorite part about it is that since they have so much data on how actually people act on galleries, on how many emails people read and click,
Yeah.
on which email people will click and buy is going to be a third reminder or a fourth reminder, all the default options are actually optimized for the performance, for working, for
Yes.
getting you the sales. So you don't have
And,
to
like,
think about
that's
it.
just not, we have to do so many things. Like, when you ask, how do you market? I'm like, oh, well, I'll get out a whiteboard and we'll start. I'll give you all of the lists of the things that we do.
Yeah.
So by the time you've gotten the client and you have shot, like, say, tree farm sessions, I shoot like 45 of these. Okay. And then have to cull and edit all of those. And then I have to put them all into different galleries. And the thing that's going to make you real money is the spot where you're like, I'm out, I'm tired, I'm going to go watch Netflix or something because I'm exhausted. Like, that's the part that people quit on. So for me, it's huge to have like the partner side of things with Pic-Time, that they've already made these things and they have all that information. I don't have to go and look at the data to find out, where am I losing people? What kinds of clients am I getting from these emails versus these ones? Like, they know. And anytime I try to customize those packages too much, you'll get little reminders that say, like, we strongly recommend sending a reminder. And I'm like, okay, fine. You're probably right. You guys know these things.
You guys know.
I don't need to do this. You guys know. So, yeah, I love those tools. I think they're huge. Having your own email list is also enormous. You can collect that information through Pic-Time, or you can have your own collection and join them together in certain ways if you need to. But having a source of emails that you collect year after year is huge. So that if you decide Instagram isn't working for you anymore, that's okay. Like, just send more emails out through your email network instead of just always relying on third party things, whether that was Facebook or Instagram or TikTok or whatever those sort of third party things are. I think building on your own land of your own gallery system, of your own website system, like, those things are really huge. And I think
Amazing.
quite often overlooked.
Amazing. Thanks so much for sharing all of this and for sharing your opposite to niche approach, which is working very well congratulations, by the way, on
Thank you.
the business. Very impressive. And if you
Thanks for
could
having
stay
me.
with us in the chat, so maybe people have some questions. Um, thank you, Lindsay.
Thanks, Magic.
Let's go. Beautiful. Okay, we're gonna go now. We have two more, and the next two, we're diving deep into like even more I would say technical stuff, technical approaches. I would actually love to invite now Tae, and we're gonna talk about
Hello.
some tough stuff. Hello, good to see you, man.
Good to see you, Magic. Hello,
So,
everyone.
could you give us a little introduction, please?
Of course, of course. Hello, everyone. My name is Tae. I live in a small city called Mexicali in the northern part of Mexico, in the middle of nowhere. I've been a wedding photographer for 15 years, and along the way, I created an educational platform called Be Here Project that helps photographers build a more sustainable business. And today, I'm here to share a little bit what I've learned through the years and hoping to spark some ideas and maybe help you on your own journey and make it a little easier.
Amazing. So, like, I know, like, I have notes. I know some stuff that we're about to now talk about, which is very different from like everything we've heard. Like, we've heard people relying on client experiences. We had people relying on social media, and yeah, multiple different things that you can do. But what's your approach? You have very, let's say, strict approach with your lead
Yes,
generation and marketing. Is that correct?
that's right. So let's start with the two main problems photographers have, which is uh, either clients are not finding you or you're not communicating value. But let's focus today on the first part, which is why are clients like prospects, why aren't they contacting you, right? This is the one of the biggest problems people have. So let's dig a little bit deeper and see how we can come to a solution. Okay. Um, the reality is many creatives get stuck in the phase of building portfolio, improving the craft, studying system, and that's great. Okay.
So like the
But
creation.
yes, we love that. That's the fun part. But the thing is, if nobody knows about you, nobody will buy from you. It's like if I'm a chef and I'm just cooking at home great meals and nobody knows about it, nobody's going to contact me. How do we expect people to contact us if they don't know we exist? And the thing is, the market today is crowded. We have so many excellent photographers. Everyone that is speaking here, everyone that is connected to each other, everyone has such an amazing body of work, which is being good enough today is just an entry point. You need to be excellent or sometimes even extraordinary to kind of catch the attention, right? The thing is, let's be honest, I'm a great photographer. I'm an excellent photographer, but I might not be the best in the world. I might not be like a Jose Villa that shoots like famous people on amazing locations, right? But the good news is that the market's still big enough to create a profitable business as a wedding photographer today. Okay? And there are three main ways people can find you. Okay, one is through recommendations and collaborations, which Joy Zamora mentioned, right? Working with the
Yeah.
vendors, networking is very powerful, but like he said, it takes time. And he mentioned like 3 times, it took me a very, very long time.
Also,
The
like it takes
second,
a specific. You have to be a specific person. Like outgoing people are gonna have an easier time doing this. Obviously,
Mhm,
not everything is for everyone. That's why we host this thing. So okay,
yes.
what's the second thing?
Yeah, and
I'm
it
hooked.
takes
I'm
time.
hooked.
Yeah, and it takes time to work on your craft. So it takes a couple of years in order to become good enough so people will want to work with you. The second way is to build organic content. I don't know who talked about
Melourra, we
Instagram.
had Melourra
Melourra,
talking
yeah,
about it.
Melourra
We
was
had
talking about
Lindsay
social
also talking about it.
media, and then we talk about blogging. That's great too, but that requires time and skill. So many of us we're not content creators. We didn't grow up We grew up to be a wedding photographer, not be a content creator, hoping that our videos will go viral one day and hoping that maybe some future clients will contact through that. I mean, organic content it requires a lot of time and it requires a lot of thought. Okay, so you have to spend both of the first two options. You need to spend time. The third option is the paid ads. Okay, now we have some weird relationship with paying for advertising, especially creatives. Because I don't know about you, Magic, but I used to think like, like I don't want to use ads because people will think I'm desperate, you know? People will think I don't have work and I don't want to be doing
I don't want
ads.
to look bad.
Yes, I don't want to, I'm a busy person. No, I don't need to do ads. I have a lot of jobs. So sometimes we have this misconception about ads, but today is the fastest way to create visibility. And now we have to think that Meta, Google, they are not in the world to do good. They are for-profit business, and their main way to generate revenue is ads. Okay? I don't know like what percent, but ridiculous percent, like probably 80, 90% is ads. That means
That's how they make money. Yeah.
Yeah, that's how they make money. And the thing is, we think we're competing with other wedding photographers for attention when we are competing with Mr. Beast, celebrities. When you open your Instagram, you're not seeing wedding photographers. You're seeing like all these big accounts, influencers. So we're not even like the attention of people is not even going to like people are not looking at Jose Villa. They're looking at like Kim Kardashian, Beyonce and other things. And the thing is, if you want to create visibility, you need to invest like any other business. Sometimes we think just because we're passionate about something, we deserve or it becomes an automatic profitable machine. It doesn't work like that. Any business, you need to uh, rethink the way we think about marketing. Okay. Now, of course, we don't want to push out any marketing. Like, nowadays it's very hard because people are very intelligent. They're very sensitive. It's not like pushing out marketing and then you're going to hire, you're going to get like 1,000 inquiries. You need to think about your process and the message you're sending out. Okay. So you have to think about marketing as if you are meeting someone new, right? And you want to get into a romantic relationship, you're not going to ask the first on a first date to marry you, right? You're gonna, let's go casual, let's meet for some coffee, nothing too, nothing too hard. And then you go step by step until you get to that point. And that's marketing. You need to kind of, there's a lot of different phases in the marketing that you need to understand in order, for the prospects to come to you. Now, there are some mistakes that photographer makes with ads. And one of the biggest most common mistakes is, I get a lot of message from photographers. Hey, I spent like $50 boosting my Instagram post and I didn't get any leads. Okay? And they get frustrated, right? And today, in order for you to work with advertisement, in order to work with ads, you need a bigger budget because the first budget is not even to get your clients to contact you. It's first to know you exist, right? So you need to build like a funnel. They call it marketing,
like a
right?
brand awareness. You start with like a brand awareness
Yes.
campaign.
You need to
let's
do
say.
awareness, and then you need to do consideration, and then you need to do conversion, right? So statistically, people needs to interact with your brand.
I'm writing down.
Statistically, people needs to interact with you 8 times before they start considering you for something. So think about in your town when a new coffee shop opens or when a new restaurant opens, you're passing through, a restaurant open. You don't go right away, right? You pass a couple of times and like, you know what? I see people outside. Let me see what they're serving, Let me see if it's something that I like. And then you start kind of considering, okay, maybe I'll visit one day. and then maybe they'll send you a promotion or something. It's like, okay, this is a good day to go. So it takes a little bit of time, and sometimes we're not patient or we don't even have a budget. The thing about data ads or paying for advertising, of course, it requires money, while the other first two of getting clients requires time. So which one do you want to go? There's no correct answer, right? It's a mix of both, but the ad is like the turbo that you can buy to, you know, make it a little bit faster on that awareness, no?
Mm-hmm. Do you have any specific, because like this is a lot of knowledge, and this also I'm guessing takes a lot of education, like educating yourself how to do it. Do you have any tips on like how to even start with this? Like how do you build that awareness with, like, how do you create your first campaign? I know we could be probably talking about hours, but
Uh-huh.
like anything you can like give our audience now so they
Uh-huh.
can maybe start their journey with advertising.
hmm So first is there's a lot of so nothing is free in this life. So either you can spend time or you can spend money. So in Meta, they do, of course, they want you to spend money on ads. So they do have a free educational platform where you can learn step by step. Not only that, if you have questions, I mean, they have one-to-one customer support that will talk to you, you know, on the phone, video call, and they go step by step to
How to set your
how to
things and
set
how to
up
get
and
your.
yes, everything. So we think it's impossible to reach Meta customer support. But if you want to buy ads, that's very easy. Yeah, they have the
That's
phone number, is a direct line. There's no way people will answer you and they'll help you out.
Mhm.
Now, the other way to do it is to hire a someone they call these days trafficker, right? People that manage traffic or people that know how to do ads, and you can hire those people. So it's like we expect people to hire us as wedding photographers because we're professionals. But why don't we, as wedding photographers, hire other professionals like website designers, uh, marketing people, and we are trying to do ourselves. And I think that's a lot of the conflict that we have, that we want to do everything and we're not good at it, right? At the same time, we're promoting, yeah, you need to hire like a professional photographer, right? and we don't hire professionals to do our website or to help out with the marketing. So there's two ways to do it. Let's go easy. One way to do it is start reading basic marketing books. Okay, first, I think you need to work on the message before you understand the system. So, one great book is Donald Miller's Story Brand. You need to understand who you are talking to, right? Because you can understand marketing, you can put ads, but at the same time, the message you put out is very important. Okay, so
It's
you
a lot
don't.
of like mix of psychology, understanding
Yes.
people, understanding the pain of the people, and so on.
Yes. I think instead of going to ads, try to understand a little bit before your marketing person. Someone mentioned marketing person. I think it was the first couple, right? Like the building like this profile of who you're talking to. And you need to understand their deepest desires, their biggest problems, and start, using that message and see how you can solve how you can make their lives easier, right? And then I think that's a good starting point, which is the copywriting, understand a little bit of who you're talking to, you know, what are your solutions? Why should they? I mean, this is one of the most common question, and most photographers, they don't know how to answer is, why should I hire you? Most people will say, most photographers, well, because I have good work, because, oh, I'm a good person, because I'm fun, or I give good client service. Who doesn't? Who is not a good person? Who is not a fun person? Who doesn't have good work? Who doesn't, give good client experience? Everyone does. Yet we're using the same message in order to try to get people's attention. And I think that's one of the biggest obstacles that we have as creatives. We are good at creating our craft, but we're not good at letting people know that we're creating and how what we are creating can solve people's problem.
It's like it's so easy when you talk about it, And yet it's so hard when you try to implement stuff. You know what I
Yes.
mean?
Yes. But
But
nowadays, I think,
yeah, go on.
nowadays, I think it might get easier. And I think advertisement will get a saturated place because now everything is AI. Now, if people that are using Meta, if you go in, basically they kind of put out how everything is just kind of like a push of a button, which they already kind of understand what you're trying to do. So there's a lot of ad that it's kind of automated and they even adjust your budget automatically and it's becoming very AI like. So I don't know where this is gonna take us next, but we need to. Uh, I think things are changing fast in terms of in that word, so we don't know where we go. But I think one good takeaway is reframing ads as an investment. I think that's one of the biggest misconceptions. Companies typically spend 30% of their revenue on marketing and ads. And think about it. If you charge, for example, let's say you charge $3,000 for a wedding, spending $900, $1,000 to book one wedding is not bad business. If you can give me a business where I put $1 and I get three, tell me about it because I'm all in, man.
Yeah, you would consider that amazing, right? Return of an investment. And yeah, thanks
I'm
so much
putting
for
in.
sharing all of
Thank
that.
you, Magic, for
It's
having us.
just
Thank
like
you, Aga. See you
it's
guys
great
soon.
to have you here, and we do have one more guest here. And I do want to invite the last but not least, the man, the myth, the legend, Dylan Howell. Can I have you joining? Oh,
Hey, how's it
hello.
going?
Good to see you, man.
Yeah, good to see you. It's been a while.
It's been a while. Did you enjoy hearing all the previous presentation and then like thinking about your approach?
Yeah, totally. It's been such a good talk. It's inspiring for sure.
Great. So, like for those of you who don't know you, could you
Yeah.
give us like little introduction?
Totally. So my name is Dylan Howell, and I've been a wedding photographer since like 2010. And I've been concentrating most of my marketing efforts on SEO. So mostly getting traffic from Google. And that's still where I'm at. I recently moved from Portland, Oregon back to Idaho, and I had to
Oh
change.
wow.
Yeah, like I had to change what market I'm trying to rank for, and that was a really fun process. It's like the second or third time I've done that in my career, and so it's been fun to go through that and see those results. Yeah, it's been a challenge.
Wow.
It's cool.
That's amazing and that's very impressive because like first of all, like so for years you've been like kind of working on the top ranking in Portland, Oregon,
Yeah,
which I'm guessing is not easy market. There's tons of photographers out there.
yeah. The west coast of the U.S. is pretty competitive. I'd say like New York, Dallas, and then like Seattle, L.A., Portland are pretty much the most competitive.
So can you give us like maybe some fundamentals, you know, like
Yeah.
what we have to think about when we create content specifically to rank in Google?
Yeah, totally. There's a few things I'm thinking of right now. Typically, like you need to look at like the homepage of your site and target like your market, your main one market and main specialty, of course. But I'm thinking right now more with like how AI is coming on a little bit, where I want to leverage AI tools to write lower competition like content for terms that don't have many people targeting them. So like single wedding venues, weddings, things like that. Or if you're a family photographer, single like small parks, areas, uh, things to do, stuff like that. Uh, and
Sorry, if you could give us like little explanation, what would you
yeah,
consider low? How did you say like low
low
competitive
comp-
versus high? So
yeah,
how competitive would be like wedding photographer Ireland
exactly.
and
And
okay,
low
and then the
competition would be like wedding in a certain park in a certain town of Ireland. Very, yeah,
gotcha.
very targeted. And there's metrics you can use in SEO tools that will kind of estimate the competitiveness. But I just like to look at the results and think, who's ranking for this? How strong is their website? How strong is their content? And can I do better? And
Hmm.
so for me, it's picking off the low competition using like AI tools mostly, and like Pic-Time's blogging is great for that. Just throwing up a quick blog post from a single session and grabbing the photos from that and getting that done in like 15 minutes. And then the more competitive topics where it might be a guide for like doing an elopement in Yosemite or something, those I don't like to use AI tools as much. Maybe use it for like putting together an outline, but writing that specifically with your own experiences, your own words, your own research, I think is working out a lot better. So
Because like at the end of the day, it's about answering people's questions.
yeah, for sure.
So like if someone is planning a wedding, I feel like Jim and Katie at the beginning talked about that a little bit, about creating the entire experience and then inspiring people about some sort of experience. I know a lot of destination wedding photographers specialize in these,
Yeah,
guides, because
totally.
people don't know what to expect. So what they do, they Google, and if
Yeah,
you know what type of questions they Google, you write the answers. But I'm guessing it does take time, and be like educated enough to, I don't know, write those.
yeah,
Like how do you? So I kind of want to ask, how do you approach, like if you're changing now the market? How do you
yeah,
approach those big competitive, let's say,
yeah,
phrases?
totally. So it's kind of a process for me. I wanted to obviously change my homepage, but that's like the easy first step. Second, you have to look at all of the supporting content on your site. So when I moved back to Idaho, I needed to make a venue guide for Idaho that had all of the most important venues. And you can quickly
Mm-hmm.
tell that by doing the search yourself and see which venues and which areas Google thinks are important to that place. And you probably want to include those, even if they're not your favorite places, like for your style or where you really want to be photographing. Google thinks they're
So
important.
you're not targeting specifically what you want to shoot. You're most targeting like the entire area.
Yeah, you want to cover the topic well. You want to show Google that you
Mm-hmm.
are like,
Gotcha.
yeah, well researched. If you only want to photograph like these two venues because they're by far the most beautiful, but they're very obscure, Google's probably not going to consider you an expert on the topic of venues in that area. Um, there's just kind of a mismatch. And so the way I always play it is I cover the topic really well, and then I also add my favorites that are stylistically more aligned with my brand, etc., and maybe make those more prominent in the content and the photos are coming from those, etc.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. So one thing is like creating that content that will make you an expert in the eyes of Google, and two
Yeah,
is just like whatever you present, you actually are booking at the end of the day, right? The oldest
exactly.
rule of the marketing: show what you want to shoot,
Yeah,
is gonna work.
for sure.
And so you said, so the main, you start with like the main phrase, Idaho wedding photographer. Like,
Yep.
do you go as specific as the city that you're in?
Typically, for most people, it's going to be a city. There are a few states where you just need to concentrate on the state itself if the city you're in just doesn't have enough traffic to make it viable. Luckily, where
Mm-hmm.
I'm living is a resort town, and there's enough wedding traffic that I can just target that city. So for me, I switched to a McCall wedding photographer. And so I see quite a few photographers get that first step wrong, where they need to really make sure they're targeting a city that makes sense as far as having enough search volume to make it worthwhile to rank number one, but not going too broad where they don't have a chance of ranking. So it's kind of a play of looking at those two main factors and making sure you can be on the first or second page if possible. Some markets, if it's like LA, being on page 3 or 4, you're still getting traffic. New York, things like that. But if you're in a small town and you're on like page 5, you're just not really likely to see enough traffic
Getting
to
any
get
eyes?
inquiries.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah,
And I want to talk about them, like maintaining your, let's say, status and like
yeah,
being like, is what matters is consistency. Does consistency matters? Do you have to keep doing something? Well, like,
yeah,
t-
totally. So consistency is a weird one where a lot of people forever have always said like you need to blog once a week or once a month or something to like make Google think that you're still going at it. I'd say it's more looking at the traffic that's ranking well and has ranked well in the past and making sure that it's up to date. So if information has changed, uh, like say you have a wedding guide from 2018, go through and make sure all of those vendors and venues are still in business and take out the ones that aren't and maybe do a little note where you like cross it out and say like this venue is closed, update and put like a date that you've
mm-hmm.
updated it. That's really important. I've seen ranking increases instantly after publishing those, like within a day. So
Wow.
I would say that that's like more important than like constantly pumping out new content. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but it also depends where you're at. If you have 10 years of blog posts, curating is everything. So going through and getting rid of the ones that aren't doing anything for your site, if they're not driving traffic, they're not ranking well, either getting rid of them or redoing them. Whereas if you're a new photographer, brand new website, it's time for you to just be like cranking out new content as quickly as possible to catch up.
Yeah, it's a different game kind of. And I love that you like at the beginning you talked about using Pic-Time blogs from a specific shoot, like from a shoot, like you shot
Yeah.
something and then you post immediately, and like how to make this work? Like, can you give us
Yeah,
like little breakdown?
totally. So, I mean, they make it easy. You just hit the new create blog from your gallery. I pick the photos I want to put in the blog post. It typically only takes me a handful of minutes. I try not to be like too overly picky, but I also don't want to like put in like 300 photos in a small blog post that people should be able to get through relatively quick. And so I try to pick maybe 30, 40, 50 photos. Um, Next, I write a quick blurb about the wedding. They have AI tools that can help with that if you're getting stuck. After that, you go into the SEO optimization part. You write your title, your meta description, etc. And then they have that section where you can add alt text to photos. And I do that for a handful of photos, maybe like up to 10, 15. I would say at least
Gotcha.
5. And I want a handful of those to be targeting more or less the same term that I'm targeting with the blog post. And then the rest are just like pretty descriptive of what's going on in the photo. Um, I'd say one mistake I see with photographers is maybe spending too much time on alt text and doing too many photos, like thinking that if they have 100 photos in a blog post, they need 100 photos with alt text. That's not accessible. It doesn't help with rankings. It doesn't help like more images rank. So I do like 5 or 10. So um,
Mm-hmm.
I try to keep this process as quick as possible for like my everyday shoots. If it's like a new session, then I just want to make sure I have something up for that venue or area. And typically, like I said, it's like 15 minutes. I've done it on calls with the Pic-Time people, and it's like you just get through it. You get it done. And so I'd say blogging right now is like something you shouldn't be putting off. It should be like grab a cup of coffee, sit down, spend 15, 20 minutes. It's not a big task. It's nothing like it was back in the day where people would take like multiple weeks to craft this blog post and send it to their peers and have it like reviewed and all that stuff.
I don't know what is it. Is it us being just dinosaurs or what? But I still have that in my head that blogging is it's
Right?
a
I
thing that you
know.
have to go
Seriously.
through, and
It doesn't
and
have to
it's
be
so
that.
easy with Pic-Time these days. You just,
Yeah.
as you said, like you go to new blog, pick images, and you probably have already some images highlighted for your galleries and for slideshows maybe, and then you create a blog post. So
Exactly.
I'm guessing the more important part would be just to getting like the phrase,
Yeah. And
locked, I guess.
don't overthink that. Yeah. On these lower competition ones, it's just really simple. So like, gosh, I'm trying to remember the last one I put on my website. I think it was like Paradise Point Wedding, and that's just the venue I was at. It's called Paradise Point. So just don't overthink it. You don't really need SEO tools, or you can use the cheaper free ones, and just make sure that there are some people looking for that topic. Or if it's like a brand new venue, just get it up. It's fine. Um, but yeah, don't
Amazing.
overthink it.
And do you have any tips on like tips or like walkthroughs, like how to work it out with the Google reviews? But because as far
Yeah,
as I know, like Google reviews are not only important for you to have like the testimonials for your couples, but
totally.
also there is some SEO
Yeah,
advantage, right?
for sure. Gosh, local is like the hardest part of SEO for me. And it's because they like the entire way that the Google business profile setup doesn't work for the typical photographer. It's set up for like somebody that has a standalone business where people come to you and they like like for studio photographers, it's great. Uh,
So like
but
you have an address that people
exactly,
see
we'll
in the
meet
map
you at.
and meet
Yeah,
you
and
at.
so
Yeah, yeah.
so many people struggle with that. So many people struggle getting their addresses verified. But once you've done that, it is important to get reviews from your clients. And there are SEO studies that show that getting at least 10 reviews is like the inflection point where once you have 10, it's kind of marginal gains after that from an SEO perspective as far as ranking is considered. But there is a huge marketing like benefit to having like 200 5-star reviews for your business. If you do that, people just, they know that you're the go-to. And so I think that's pretty important. So yeah, if you can, it's always important. And I think
So
worthwhile to,
how many do you have?
oh my God, I've never put effort into this. I think I have like 8 or something, or 9.
Okay.
I
Okay, I
No,
thought
I
you were
got
gonna
over
say like
10. It's probably
8,000.
12. No, it's literally been something I've never done with my own business. But new market, I need to verify my address again here in this new state and start that up a little bit. So maybe I should. But yeah, I've always been able to rank well locally without that. And I've just, yeah, I haven't put effort there. Um, but I've seen people do it really well. And I have a lot of people like that I've worked with that have done well with having like 200 plus reviews.
Gotcha. So I know it sounds maybe very like super cliche, but do you have like a
Yeah.
one tip for finale for people who
Yeah,
want to just get in and start with some sort of SEO, like for people who did never succeed in this?
for
What do
sure.
they start with?
Yeah. So I'd say the mistake that I see across the board on almost every site that I look at would be, let's say that your main phrase that you're targeting is McCall wedding photographer, like mine. Only use that in the title of your homepage. Don't use it on your about page, your contact page, or appended to the end of your blog posts, etc.
So do you say we're not writing every sentence starting me as a McCall wedding photographer, love shooting
Exactly.
McCall weddings?
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
don't do
So
this.
don't do that. I'd say 80% of websites that haven't worked with an SEO professional in the past or had an audit or have some knowledge, they make that mistake. And so that's the easiest one. Um, and so homepage page title is super important. Pretty much every website platform makes it easy to change that homepage title uh, to optimize the main keyword you're chasing plus your brand. And then just don't use it on other pages and posts in the title.
Amazing. Dylan, thanks so much. There's so much, and I know we can learn from you. So if you could drop in a chat some links to where we can find some guides or some knowledge from you, that would be amazing.
Cool.
And thanks so much for sharing all of these gold nuggets.
Awesome.
And I
Take care.
guess I see you soon. Ciao. Amazing. Oh my God, that was like I'm gonna be wrapping things up because I don't want to keep you so long. But that was amazing. We had so many different approaches, and as you can see, there's no one way to do things. Like each of the guests today have like their own path. Some of them are more extensive. Some of them like are specifically targeting one thing over another. But no one way of doing things. If you can do it all. If you have power, if you maybe you can hire people, you can do stuff like all of this stuff that was mentioned. But also like for many of you, I'm guessing there's some stuff clicked more than the others. So I hope this webinar inspired you to maybe dig into that specific way of doing things, of doing your marketing. So yep, amazing guest, amazing webinar. Happy shooting, happy editing, and happy marketing yourself through new channels thanks to our amazing guests today. Have a great evening, day, afternoon, and we'll see you in the next webinar.